back to Taco Potato Mustang. As you can see, I'm back in the Taco Potato Mustang garage. We got back from our trip to Louisiana about a week ago. If you saw my last two videos, you know that I had an awesome time driving a Evo 3 rally car that is owned by my friend Jorge. Jorge, I love your car. Thanks for letting us drive it. Looking forward to driving your STI next time we're out there. Anyways, I'm back in the garage and I need to get this thing done that I've been putting off for way too long. So as you can see, there's no thermostat housing currently on the car. If you remember from a few videos ago, the issue that we ran into is that when I installed the new thermostat housing and radiator hoses and all that stuff and started the car up, started leaking coolant. So when I took it apart again, the gasket, which was a new one that came with the radiator housing, was basically in pieces. I mean, this is what's left over of it. So I've since cleaned up the area on the intake or on the engine. I guess I feel like this is, if it's the thermostat housing, then I guess it's technically part of the intake manifold or the engine block. I'm not sure. And so I went and got a new gasket, Fel-Pro. I got some thread sealant, which is going to be for, I'm hoping will be for this piece, which goes in the top, plugs the top of this. I also had some coolant leaking out of this, so I'm hoping that some thread sealant will help avoid that again. So my plan is to, if I can find what I'm looking for, is to do the water, make sure I do a much better job of putting the gasket maker on both sides. Make sure that the thermostat does not fall below the lip of the thermostat housing. You can see there's a little area where it goes in, and somebody on the forums mentioned that I should check to see if there is a like a weep hole or like a small hole, which helps with the placing the direction of the thermostat, like the way it's supposed to sit. But I do not see this one having that. I assume it's because it's not an actual Ford OEM part. So I'm just gonna make sure that this stays aligned when it goes back onto the engine. So I'm gonna do that, and then I'm gonna do the plug. I'll probably do some blue Loctite on the bolts and hopefully get the car started today and hopefully not have coolant leaking everywhere again, so I can drive the car and then move on to the next thing. Okay, so I wasn't recording this, but I cleaned off the bolts with some brake clean and a wire brush, etc. And then I put the gasket maker on the thermostat housing and also on the engine side, and then put the gasket on. And then it was kind of a pain to get the bolts in, and then I got them hand tightened. I let it sit for about an hour, and then I just tightened them down. I didn't, as you can see, I did not put the plug on the top side in yet. So my plan now is to, I also did something dumb. I should have put the hose that runs from here to the water pump I should have put it on there first so I could get it on more easily, but whatever, I'll figure it out. So my plan now is to leave this sitting for 24 hours, and then tomorrow I'm going to, I guess, maybe run some water through it and just see if anything leaks or if there's anything dripping. And then if that's not the case, I'll go ahead and put the plug in with some thread sealant, and then I will put the hose back on and see about getting the coolant back into the system. So let's hope it works this time. Fingers crossed. Okay, it's been about 24 hours and I just put some water in the thermostat housing and it's just sitting there, and I'm keeping an eye on the area just below it. Haven't seen any leaks or drips as of yet, so I'm hoping this means that the seal is good, but I'm trying not to get too excited because sometimes there's something that I'm missing or that I didn't think about. I don't know. Maybe I'll leave it for a little bit longer and then see how it looks. Okay, so as you can see, I got the upper radiator hose back on, and I probably put a little too much thread sealant. You can see that white, like, well, not with this light, but it's a little bit white around the plug that goes into the thermostat housing. According to the packaging, it takes 4 hours to cure. So I guess what is it, 4 hours to cure? 4 hours. It fixtures in approximately 4 hours and is fully cured in 72 hours. So I guess maybe I should wait 4 hours before actually, at least 4 hours before actually starting the car. I'm not particularly excited about putting this off further, but I also don't want to have more leaks. So I guess I'm gonna wait a few hours, which actually puts me around 10 o'clock, which is like maybe a little too late to be starting the Fox body on a Sunday night, but I don't know, we'll see. See how I'm feeling. If I don't do it tonight, I'll do it in the morning, and then I'll just take a look and see if there's any leaks as I start to put, well, I guess I'll probably just start it up, let it run for a minute, and then start, if I don't see any leaks, I'll start to put coolant in, because I don't think I drained all the coolant. I don't know, we'll get this figured out. In the meanwhile, I need to switch the Dude Stings wheels from the all-season tires to the summer tires while I'm in the garage. I'm draining coolant again because I noticed a leak coming from the top part of the the lower radiator hose, and I was reading that it could be that the hose is not properly clamped or properly, the hose clamp is not properly aligned. So I'm hoping that I can get that figured out. But I'm probably I just need to lift the car up so I can get a better view and see if there is any issue with the water pump, which is another possibility, which would be ironic considering that I made the decision not to replace the water pump, but we'll see. Once I get some more of this coolant drained, I will take off the lower radiator hose and see what we're working with here. Okay, so last night I redid the hose clamp on the lower radiator hose, the part where it touches where it attaches onto the water pump, and I didn't see any more leaking last night or this morning, although to be fair, there's not a lot of coolant in it right now. I did just add some more coolant, reconnected the battery, and I'm going to start the car up and check to see if any coolant comes leaking out of anywhere. Hopefully not, but we'll see. Here we go. Okay, so I'm happy to report, on the one hand, that it appears as though the seal on the thermostat housing is doing its job. But again, I don't have it completely full of coolant, so we'll see. The bad thing is, see if I can, I'm sure somebody on StangNet's gonna yell at me for being lazy and not putting the car up on jack stands, but you can see, maybe you can see, there is, like, right up at the top of the lower radiator hose, there's a little bit of a drip. It seems like it's, I mean, it's not the end of the world. It's just going to be a leak, but I'd like to get that fixed. I'm guessing it's it's just got to be the placement of the hose clamp. Like maybe the hose is not getting a proper seal, but I don't know. I'll have to play around with it some more and see what the issue is. I thought I had it figured out. Apparently not. It's way too many days later, and I don't even remember where I left off. But anyways, I just got the serpentine belt back in, and I think the latest issue that I'm dealing with is a very, of course I don't have my, I forgot to grab the light. On the lower hose of the coolant, whatever this thing is called, the coolant overflow tank thing, there is a small leak. And I mean, it's pretty slight. I'm not particularly happy about it though. I don't know if it's because I like hit something when I was reinstalling the lower radiator hose to try and make sure that I had a tighter fit, or if it's just a bad seal or what. But I think what I want to do is try and just test to make sure that that I have a good seal on the the upper part of the lower radiator hose. So I think, assuming that when I get some coolant back in it and everything is fine when it's running, aside from those minor leaks, I might just take it for a drive, see how it goes, and then worry about the minor leak later. I don't know. Okay, I didn't even get the car started. I put some coolant in, and now the drip is coming at a faster pace from the lower radiator hose. I don't know what the fuck is going on, but I'm very annoyed. I mean, when I'm looking at it from the other side, it seems like it's fine. I don't know if you can see it from here. Let's see. Yeah, so that's like from the driver's side, obviously. It's on the other side of that on the other side of that hose is where the coolant is coming out, and then it's dripping down towards where the elbow is, and then just falling into the drip pan like every couple of seconds. What the fuck? So it either has to be the hose there's something wrong with the hose. The hose is not sealed properly with the hose clamp, or it's something on the water pump. But I didn't have any dripping once the hose was off, and I mean, most of the coolant was out, but I don't know. Come on. Okay, so somebody on the forums suggested that it could be that some of the corrosion on the hose, can't remember what it's called, but the part of the water pump where the upper section of the lower radiator hose connects could be causing it to not create a seal. So I drained the coolant again. I'm going to check. I'm going to take the hose off, probably use a Scotch pad to clean it up a bit, check if I can get a little bit closer to check and see if there is a, hopefully not, but check and see if there's any sort of crack in the actual water pump. But first, just gonna try and get the corrosion out of the way, and then try to find out how I can get a closer look at it. So let's see if we can get this finally figured out, because I really want to drive this car soon. Okay, so apologies because I've done like almost no recording of the stuff that I've been doing, but it's been fairly straightforward. I left the car alone like a night or two ago, and then when I came out this morning, or actually it came out last night, and I wiped down some coolant on the lower hose, and then I came out this morning and there was no coolant dripping. So I'm hoping that maybe it finally sealed, but I do not know that for sure. Also, I do still have a little bit of a slow leak on the coolant, the bottom of the coolant overflow tank. I'm gonna have to try and figure that out, but it didn't seem as big of an issue as the leak that was coming from the lower radiator hose. I checked the oil and it seemed to be okay. So we are going to take the Fox for a drive for the first time in like a month. It's definitely taken some getting used to the clutch again and the small space for the pedals, since my freaking feet are so huge. But feels good to be driving again. Alright, so I just drove like a couple miles, didn't exceed 30 miles an hour, so felt pretty good. Temperature seems to be normal. I'm gonna do a little more spirited driving. Well, it's not as quick as the Evo, but the torque is still nice, and it feels good to drive. So to answer the question that I'm sure everybody who watched the Evo videos is thinking, yes, the Fox Mustang still sparks joy. I'm sure I've mentioned this in other words or in different ways, but I think while it's like noticeable coming from the Evo and the Dude Stang to the Fox body that it doesn't have like the most power, it's not like insanely quick. I think that one of the best things about the car is just the usable torque. Like when you're just driving around, you know, anywhere between like 10 and like 60 miles an hour, you know, as long as you're close to within the right gear, you have torque available. And I think that's, one of the obvious things that makes the small block V8s so appealing. But I'd be lying if I said driving that Evo doesn't have me thinking about doing some type of turbo kit on the Fox, man. But that's a slippery slope. Okay, made it back to the house. Let's take a look at the underneath the hood. See if we find anything. Things look and sound mostly normal. Let's check the lower radiator hose, if we can see it. Got too far to one side. Okay, that's interesting. So not sure if I can get the camera right. Doesn't appear to be any leakage on the lower radiator hose. And let's see, can't really see. Looks like there might still be a drip on the coolant overflow tank, but I'll have to take a closer look. Looks like we've achieved some small victory, some small success, progress, whatever you want to call it. Now, I just need to figure out leak stuff from the engine and transmission in terms of oil and transmission fluid. So I think I mentioned one thing before that I've been wanting to do is get some planks to prop up the Rhino ramps that I have. You can see I got a 8 foot by 12 inch by, I think this is maybe this is 1.5 inches. I got this at Lowe's today. Let me show you what I had in mind. Let's see if this works. So I'm not sure if that'll work, but it's I'm gonna give it a try. So looks like the ramp is slightly wider than the plank, the wooden plank, but my theory is that having that extra like 1.5 inches underneath the ramp will make getting the front of the Fox up a little bit easier. And also same with the Dude Stang, which is lower to the ground. And then this, I'm hoping that this part isn't too short, but this is gonna take the place of the narrower planks that I was using to drive the Dude Stang up onto the ramps when I was doing work on that previously. So try and get that done at some point, or tested at some point in the next few days. We'll see. But for now, I'm just excited that the cooling system on the Fox appears to be in a place where I want it to be, and that I can drive the car. I forgot to record the end to my video yesterday. So anyways, basically to recap, we replaced all the cooling, heating system hoses, got a new thermostat housing and new thermostat, and seemingly fixed the leak issues for now, the coolant leak issues for now. So car ran great yesterday. Probably gonna drive it again tonight, see how it's holding up, and then get moving on to what comes next. So anyways, thanks for watching. If you're new to my channel and you like my video, please hit subscribe and keep an eye out for more on the Fox Mustang project and other food and car related stuff. Take care. Peace out.